Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Danbury. Please silence your phones if you have not done so already. The Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Danbury has been gathering together for 200 years, and as we work to build a more just world, we respectfully acknowledge that our physical building is on the traditional land of the Paugussett people. I am Sequoia Low. I've been a member of this congregation since I was born in 1999. My parents were raised Catholic and Jewish, and they were like, what are we going to do with the kids? And they had heard of this place, so they raised me and my sister Daisy in religious education. And I was not really a fan throughout my childhood, but once I hit high school, I made a lot of really awesome friends here, and I've been hooked ever since. And so after high school, when most of my friends went off to college and stopped participating in congregations, I kept coming here every Sunday out of spite. And I'm still here to this day. And I'm happy that I get to play some role in sharing the service with you all today. So I am so glad that you are able to join us this morning, because you are an essential part of our celebration today. Whether today is your first or 1,000th Sunday in our midst, in person or online, we are stronger because you are with us. If you're new to our community and joining us online, we invite you to introduce yourself and where you are connecting from in the chat box as you are comfortable. At the conclusion of today's service, you will have the chance to participate in a breakout group for individual connections and deeper check-ins. If you are new and here in person, please fill out a visitor card at the table near the exit before you leave today. We are one people of many beliefs, many origins, many sexualities, and many genders. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. Just as you are welcome here. Now, we're going to move into our announcements. At the auction, we chipped in with the Danbury NAACP to sponsor a job resource fair for people recently released from incarceration. Tomorrow at 11 a.m., the Reentry Job and Resource Fair will be held at WestCon in the Student Center Ballroom. It's free and open to the public. Please consider attending if you're available. Come find out about an experience that affects 1 in 5 Black men over their lifetime and build a bridge towards the beloved community here in Danbury. Please look in your order of service for the rest of your announcements, with the exception of a few special announcements.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning online to everyone. Good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Kathleen Rudolph, and I am so happy to be your service coordinator today. I am Sans Stoll. I can't even speak when I'm not in the pulpit, but I'm even happier that it is today a service where young adults, some from this congregation and others from the region, when I put out the call to Sequoia, do you think you guys might do a service? Because Audrey, Daisy, I'm sorry, I called you Giancarlo, Jared, Giancarlo. We have Julie Tramontano online, and she is a young adult from this congregation. I'm not sure if Robbie will be online, and Carver Fell, a brand new member of this congregation, a young adult, but he's not able to be with us today. Carver, if you are watching or you watch this later, we miss you. Thank you to all of you for coming here and letting us hear your voices. We know you have important things to say, and we know we need to be listening to you if we want to consider the future of this congregation and the future of Unitarian Universalism. So thank you. But that's not all. I want to remind you that we have something special over here, and I have to say the young adults really appreciated it. They knew right away it was our stewardship. So it is here. Each week we are building on that, and you might notice something new, and that is a compass that is on our stewardship today. I remember when in the coming of age program in this congregation, at one time, the students were given a compass. I don't know if that still happens, but I love that idea of a compass to help you find your way back home, and a compass that keeps you moving in the direction of justice and compassion. So this is to remind us as we build our stewardship together to remember the directions that we are moving forward in. And we have hands here. You'll notice that it takes many hands to build this one community. We already have some hands on the ship, but if you have already made your pledge, I want to invite you after the service. I'm going to put the hands by the ship. Come and put your name on there and attach it to the ship. We want to see all the hands that it takes, all of those who have given to help keep our stewardship afloat and to help us find new adventures together. So thank you in advance for that. And we have one last very special announcement. I'm going to invite one of our co-presidents of our Board of Trustees, Margaret Henderson, to come and share with us something very special.
Before we do that, can we hold the ship up? I'm just going to bring it over here where it can be seen on camera better. Can you guys see the compass? You get the idea. About 15 years ago, we had an exchange student from Donetsk, Ukraine, a 16-year-old girl named Tanya. She brought us these symbols of Ukraine when she came, a flag and a girl in a traditional Ukrainian dress. We're not worried about her. She's currently safe in Moscow. And she's a very strong individual. I'll spare you all the stories about that. She's a very strong individual, and I'm confident she can take care of herself. I am also here today on behalf of the children in RE. The kids wanted to support Ukrainian refugees as well as other refugees around the world. And so they chose 3 organizations to receive donations. The 3 are the UU Service Committee Emergency Relief Fund, the Hungarian Unitarian Church's Providence Charity Organization, and a longtime partner with the law school at Yale, the International Refugee Assistance Project. Next week on Easter, the children's egg hunt will involve not only prizes for the children, but in the eggs there will also be tokens that will represent votes on how they divvy up the funds between these 3 organizations. So if you would like to donate today through the collection, or you can bring in or mail in checks if you're online through April 14th, please put refugee relief in the memo line of the check, or put it in an envelope marked refugee relief, but make the check out to UUCD. And that way the children can split up the funds however they want to. Thank you for your generosity and consideration of refugees all over the world. And welcome again to our service this morning.
Good morning. My name is Giancarlo Ponticello. I go by he, him pronouns. And we are the Young Adult Organizing Committee from in and around, made up of young adults from in and around the Central East region. Many of us attended youth conferences or cons in high school. And soon after graduating, we realized that while there are many resources for youth and networks for youth, there wasn't that same level of resources for emerging and young adults. It was cited in the Widening the Circle of Concern report that young adult resources have been underfunded and underutilized within the UUA. And as a response, groups like ours have began organizing events, worships, and even cons the way we know how. And most of them have been over Zoom, thanks COVID. But today, in a rapidly changing world, we are here to give a service on change. And we are grateful to UU Danbury for lending us this platform and to you for lending us your ears. Thank you.
Please join me in the Chalice lighting affirmation as it appears in your order of service. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and justice is its light. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek and speak the truth in love, to help one another and celebrate life. Now please join me in the children's affirmation. We are Unitarian Universalists. We are people with open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. We care for the earth and each other. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Julie Tramontana, and I've been a member of this congregation since I was about 5 years old. And I'm going to be reading a story today for our children's focus for time of all ages. This story is called Change Sings, a Children's Anthem by Amanda Gorman. For those of you who might not know Amanda Gorman, she spoke at President Joe Biden's inauguration, and she was the Youth Poet Laureate. I can hear change humming in its loudest, proudest song. I don't fear change coming, and so I sing along. I scream with the skies of red and blue streamers. I dream with the cries of tried and true dreamers. I'm a chant that rises and rings. There is hope where my change sings. Though some don't understand it, those windmills of mysteries, I sing with all the planet and its hills of histories. I hum with 100 hearts, each of us lifting a hand. I use my strengths and my smarts, take a knee to make a stand. I'm bright as the light each day brings. There is love where my change sings. I show others tolerance, though it might take some courage. I don't make a taller fence, but fight to build a better bridge. I talk not only of distances, from where and how we came. I also walk our differences to show we are the same. I'm a movement that roars and springs. There's a wave where my change sings. Change sings where? There, inside me, because I'm the change I want to see. As I grow, it grows like seeds. I am just what the world needs. I'm the voice where freedom rings. You're the love your bright heart brings. We are the waves starting to spring, for we are the change we sing. We're what the world is becoming, and we know it won't be long. We all hear change strumming. Won't you sing along? Please join me in singing hymn number 121 in your order of hymnal. We'll build a land. The lyrics are also on screen for congregants that are on Zoom. Please join me.
At this time, we welcome you to share any milestones in your life, and we especially invite you to share a change that has occurred in your life recently and how that has impacted you. We invite anyone on Zoom who wishes to share to type in the chat, and I will read your messages.
All around us, whether that be that some of us have been coming from musical backgrounds and we're moving away from that, or that we're going to new jobs. I invite you now to silently reflect on the changes all around us.
Morning. My name is Jared Economo. I'm a member of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of White Plains. I'm also currently one of the steering committee coordinators for the Young Adult Organizing Committee. And on behalf of Yoke, I want to say thank you to Reverend Kathleen and to the entire congregation for having us today. We greatly appreciate the opportunity to bring young adults back into the UU sphere. I want to share with you today a letter from one of my congregation's DREs, Dr. Reverend Elizabeth Baker. Reverend Baker was a director of religious education at CUC White Plains sometime in the late 1960s. And I hear that she was one of the most popular UU reverends of her time, some of her work even predating the Unitarian and Universalist consolidation. In her time as DRE in White Plains, she wrote this letter to the parents on addressing Easter with our children. I'll share this with you now as its message is more prevalent than ever. Dear parents and teachers, once again the Easter season rolls around and our children will have questions we will need to answer. Sometimes this poses a problem for some of us who are new to the liberal church. As your director of religious education, I would like to share with you some of my own thinking about the meaning of Easter for liberals. I'm enclosing some material I hope you may find useful. The celebration of Easter is older than Christianity. It reaches into the most primitive, deepest parts of our heritage. The earliest rites and festivals are those of the spring, when man celebrated his joy in the vindication of his winter faith, that the sun would return and flowers would bloom again. Even for us, in our sophistication, there is joy and reassurance in the natural rhythms of the cycle of nature. Leaves swell and bloom and fall to enrich the soil which nourishes the tree. The waters have risen from the earth to return as rain again, and since our world was formed. This feeling we will want to share with our children. We will let them see the butterfly emerge from a cocoon and watch the growth of seeds and bulbs. We may call their attention to the way in which the roots of a fallen tree send up new shoots. Especially important in our time of world tensions in the 1960s is the recognition that our Easter traditions come from many lands and races. The Easter egg, dyed the color of the sun god's robes, was a symbol of new life to Egyptians and Persians even before the time of Moses, and came to us by way of Russia and Germany. The wearing of new clothes we inherit from Passover, when houses are cleaned and special dishes and clothing are used. At Easter, we join in a universal celebration. In family sharing of this celebration of the renewal of life, may we and our children find sharpened perception of the meaning of all human life. May we find our appreciation of the present quickened by our realization that death and life are inextricably joined. May our awareness of the ancient and varied sources of our celebration lift us from our narrow bounds of time and race and expand our horizon to include fellowship with all men. Thank you.
We will now be doing the offering. I invite you, whether you are here in person or if you are online, to follow along with the congregational response found in your order of service. In the spirit of compassion and service, we dedicate these, our offerings. Thank you.
All right, we are going to each share in a line very briefly our response to what is a change that we have made in our lives that we're proud of. And we're going to start with our friends online.
I changed the way that I take care of myself and the way that I go through life, trying to stay in the moment, and I am proud of that.
Something that I changed was that I think that I used to be really nervous in social interactions and really afraid to express myself. And I think I got a lot better at having confidence in myself and being able to do the work that I wanted to do and make the connections I wanted to.
Prefer to keep to myself and have a lot of trouble connecting with others. But now I find that that's really fulfilling and something that I enjoy a lot.
I used to be not very good at processing and expressing my honest emotions, and I have learned to express myself more.
I've changed from someone who constantly needs an advocate to someone who can advocate for others.
I used to have trouble with emotional boundaries with my friends. If my friends were sad, I was very sad. But I've gotten a lot better, and I'm able to stay strong and now help my friends instead of crumbling with them.
I used to not engage with the things I was passionate about, and today I'm doing that right now.
I've made a lot of changes to be more environmentally conscious, like reducing spending and changing my diet.
Well, I used to live in Brazil for a period of time, and I didn't really have many friends because I didn't really know how to speak the language. But when I came back to the United States, I'm really proud of actually staying in the town that I was living in, although it was kind of not good. But I ended up making a lot of friends, and I learned a lot of valuable lessons.
Thank you, everyone.
Hello. This is a responsive reading. After each statement, I invite you to join me in saying, "When I change, the world changes." We are here to derive meaning in our actions. When I change, the world changes. We are here to win our power back over our areas of powerlessness. When I change, the world changes. We are here to deepen our understanding of ourselves in order to strengthen self-discipline. When I change, the world changes. We are here to abolish prejudice with an appreciation for our diversity and differences. When I change, the world changes. We are here to feel our personal power and our capacity to affect the lives of other people. When I change, the world changes. We are here to become teachers to each other. When I change, the world changes. We are here to spend time away from the usual influences and relearn reality. When I change, the world changes. We have the power and means to achieve our goals. When I change, the world changes. I am here to see that my singular life is a gateway to countless possibilities. When I change, the world changes. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Like I said, I'm Julie Tramontana, and I've been a part of the congregation since I was about 5 years old, and I use she, her pronouns. It's been an absolute pleasure to grow up here in this congregation in an environment where I could feel safe, be myself, and learn about many aspects of the world. UUCD has also brought me lifelong friends, some of my best friends actually, Daisy and Sequoia Low, and Gabby DePinto. Last time I shared something impactful at church was on May 21st, 2017, when I was 16 years old, sharing my credo after going through the coming of age program that many of the youth go through at at many UU congregations. When I thought about what to reflect on today, I thought about picking apart every part of my credo and seeing what was different and similar in how I've changed, but I realized I also just had to look among other things in my life that had shaped me into who I am today. What I'm about to share is just a brief trigger warning for a mental health crisis. Sophomore year of college, I went through one of the hardest years of my life. My mental health was at an all-time low. I was incredibly depressed and anxious constantly. I had a really hard time pulling myself out of it. There were points when I wasn't sure if I would come out of it or even if I wanted to. I let myself suffer, and at first I didn't try to get better until I ended up hurting other people because of my pain. The last straw is when I had friends reach out to my parents to tell them that they were really concerned about my well-being and other unsafe situations that had occurred. It took some time, about a year, to feel mentally stable and okay, and like I can actually take care of myself and know that I never want to get back to that place again. I changed a lot. I learned about myself and mistakes I won't make again, and also how to take care of myself and how to advocate, reach out, and try to get help. I became wiser because of this. My core identity as a person didn't change. This 16-year-old social justice warrior that I talked about in my credo has calmed down a little, but is still in there. The woman I've grown into acknowledges her past struggles and mistakes, but moves forward with strength and confidence to tackle most things that life and the world throws her way. Change is inevitable, but strength is something you learn along the way with each new challenge. When I change, the world changes.
Hey friends, my name is Robbie. My pronouns are he, him, his. So I think for a long time, our world has forgotten that change is a constant. The 90s were often referred to as the end of history, and with how much has been happening in the world between Trump, COVID, and Ukraine, many people of my generation make posts online stating, "I really wish I weren't living through a major historical event right now." Many people are apathetic about politics, or a rise in people being apolitical or libertarian, wishing to live their lives completely independently of others. The truth is, though, that the world will always continue to change. We may seek comfort, but we will never get to the point where our lives are purely without struggle. The comfort of the past few generations in our country has been built on innumerable cruelties around the world that have left more privileged countries thriving and more exploited countries suffering. We must embrace an ever-changing horizon and work to help change and shape our world, rather than trying to disconnect from the path of history. I'm trying in my own life to be better at staying connected and working hard towards the causes I believe in, but it's really easy to become disconnected and to feel like, to give in to the temptation to disconnect and separate from the rest of the world. Apathy is death, but care and community are life. It's the only way that we can work to make this world better. When I change, the world changes.
Hi, my name is Jesse Gorman, and as I already told you, I am from the Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Summit. My pronouns are he, his, or they, them, theirs. The last 2-3 years have been a bit crazy to me. Going a little bit earlier than that, when I was in freshman year of high school, my congregation had me stand up in the podium in front of our congregation and state our beliefs. And since then, I have been exploring my own beliefs and getting more involved with paganism and shamanic practices. As you may be partially aware, the pandemic started in 2020, which just so happened to be partway into my senior year of high school, ruining my chances of being the star in my school play, the school musical, but going to prom and going to camp. Then, of course, there's also the day back in July when my apartment building caught fire. And in this period, what has probably affected me more than that would have been my last relationship with a trans man who moved to my high school in senior year. Quite a lot happened. He's kind of crazy and has anger issues. In addition, he was one day forced out of his abusive mom's house, which made the relationship more interesting, as that meant I had to come out to my mom as bisexual. So my ex could stay at my mom's place until sometime later moving in with his dad. After that point, I realized how truly toxic is what he was, his propensity for violence and anger, and strangely how little he understood societal norms, etiquette, and how other people think in general. After a little over a year, I finally broke up with him, citing his extreme toxicity, manipulativeness, and generally being bad for my mental health as reasons for the breakup.
Been easy. I put in a lot of hard work, dedication, and courage. And with the support of those around me, I don't just speak now because I feel like I have to or because my mom told me to. I stand up and I take the microphone. Thank you. Oh, when I change, the world changes. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jared Economo. Once again, I use he, him, his pronouns. Forgot that the first time. What do you want to do with your life? That question haunts the minds of youth and young adults of every generation. 4 years ago, if I gave you a genuine answer, which it's unlikely I would have said, I have no idea. I was honestly lost, coming into college with a major in something I was doubting I wanted to pursue. And if you asked if I was excited about my degree, I would say, yeah, but I'm mostly excited for later classes and after college when I can apply it. But even that, I only theorized would bring me joy. A year ago, if you asked me what I wanted to do with my life, I would have said, I don't know, but I might drop out. Hi, Mom. But if you ask me today, I'll tell you this. I have no idea. But there's a big difference today. The difference is that now I know that that's okay. I'm not lost. I'm just looking around, shopping for what my next thing will be. I'm experimenting with all these things I've done and figuring out what it is brings me joy. Because it's not about knowing at 18 the one thing that brings you joy and doing that forever. It's about knowing the things and the people that bring you joy and pursuing those for as long as they continue to bring you joy. When I change, the world changes.
Hello again, I am Sequoia Low and I use he, him pronouns. When I was in middle school, I had a friend who did not treat me well. We became friends because we had a lot of things in common, but eventually I saw how he kept disrespecting me, and I was 13 or 14 when I called him up and unfriended him in real life. This was the right move. He had always brought out the worst in me, and I haven't missed him since then. It was those early teen years when I also started to fall in love with the internet. It felt like the internet was the future, and understanding how it worked was a superpower. Instead of getting in your car and going to church, you could attend a Sunday service on Zoom without even putting your pants on. Throughout the decade that has somehow passed since I was 13, I have gotten a lot bigger, and so has the internet. And I've come to realize that the internet is not such a great friend either. I've always had trouble getting things done on time. I wrote this yesterday. The internet further erodes my attention span and ability to focus on getting things done. Websites try to keep me in their little world for as long as possible, and the motive is usually to make money for big corporations. At some point, I thought to myself, I can't be friends with a sellout. But that's the difference between my middle school friend and the internet. I can't just unfriend the internet and move on, and neither can you. It's just part of life now. It's no longer a choice. And that makes me wonder, if I am the sum of the choices I make and society limits my choices, does that limit who I can be? Well, My time with you is very limited today. So let me just say, of course not. The world around us will never be exactly how we want it to be, but it will always give us enough space to be wonderful, driven, focused, passionate, and caring people. There is always more I can do to develop a healthy relationship with the internet, and there is always a way for me to act that's consistent with who I am. When I change, the world changes.
Hello, I'm Audrey Wenzel, she, her, they, them, from the South Nassau Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Long Island. So I wanted to share something about probably the biggest catalyst to change in my life. When I was very young, I was healthy, active, and carefree. When I was 8, I got Kawasaki disease, an uncommon condition that triggered a series of health problems. From then on, I experienced chronic stomach issues and seemed to be more susceptible to illnesses. I started missing a lot of school, became unable to do a lot of physical activities that I previously enjoyed. I struggled with socialization, and my mood was more irritable because of how awful I felt physically, but doctors thought it was in my head. In 7th grade, we finally figured out that I was suffering from chronic gastritis caused by inflammation from the Kawasaki, and getting treatment for that helped a lot. But still, numerous health issues persisted throughout high school. As awful as the experience was, I learned a lot about resilience. I was always making up work and stubbornly keeping up my grades. I was independent and self-regulated, learning to push myself, but also when to let myself rest. From 12th grade on, my health improved, and nowadays my immune system seems to be in about normal shape. What I came to grapple with then was a post-high school diagnosis of an anxiety disorder that put things in a new light. I realized that a lot of the stomach issues I felt after the gastritis was treated were likely caused by anxiety and fear of going to school, and I wasn't sure how much my problems actually were physical versus mental. I wondered what had come first, like the chicken versus the egg. Were the doctors I saw as a child right, that some of my symptoms were psychosomatic from the start? Or did the lack of belief from adults around me trigger a fear of being misunderstood, a fear of being wrong about myself that worsened my existing physical symptoms in a subconscious attempt to prove I was right? I still don't truly know when exactly my anxiety developed or how much of my past health issues it might have been involved in. But getting an anxiety disorder diagnosis made dealing with it a lot easier. And in the several years since, I've gotten a lot better at managing my anxiety and recognizing it. Whenever I get sick, I'm still sometimes hit with worries that I might be exacerbating my symptoms, but I'm slowly moving past that. I don't blame myself for getting sick, and I allow myself to rest when I am. I treat myself with kindness, and I'm learning to recognize when my anxiety is acting up and might be causing physical symptoms. Going through what I have has taught me a lot about resilience, self-regulation, and trusting myself, and I will carry those lessons onward. When I change, the world changes.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Daisy Low. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I lost my voice a little bit, so sorry I couldn't sing for you guys live this morning. When I was younger, I used to be so scared of so many things. When I would go to Six Flags with my family, I would walk through the coaster and let my family ride it while I stood on the side and watched. I was too afraid to watch scary movies, and when singing on stage, I would stand with the microphone like a deer in headlights, and I was scared to take pills. Throughout the last few years, I have learned that in order to see the sun, sometimes you have to walk through the rain. Even though it was scary at first, I threw myself onto roller coasters and fell in love. I began to struggle with general anxiety, and it's pretty hard to get on medication when actually taking the pill that will help stresses you out immensely. I was finally able to jump over that hurdle, and I feel so much better now. Whenever I had to get a shot at the doctor, I would not let them near me. I would dread the appointment for weeks leading up to it. Now I get needles in my ears for ear piercings that make me so happy, and needles in my arms for the safety of my family and for my community. When I was younger, singing on stage was terrifying. I would get pep talks from my parents about how my voice was good, but I needed to move around more and improve on my stage presence. Once I got to college, my voice teacher said that I was a natural with my ability to emote and share a story on stage. That was incredible validation that all my hard work had paid off. And for the past 2 days, I just starred as Cinderella in my last opera at college. I've grown immensely in my lifetime, and I'm so excited to continue to grow as my life changes and blossoms into something even greater. When I change, the world changes.
Hi, my name is Giancarlo Panicello. I go by he, him, and his, and I am from the Unitarian Universalist congregation at Montclair, New Jersey. Oh, that's the wrong. Oh, sorry. I recently finished a year of volunteer service with the Jesuit Volunteer Corps. I was an employment specialist and case manager for refugees. In many ways, the work made me whole, and in other ways, it broke me, and I'm still picking up the pieces. People go through incredible trials to make a life here, and despite my best efforts, I was unable to give all of my clients the care and results that they needed. They faced rejection after rejection, and I blamed myself for their situation. And I had to learn not to be too hard on myself, because my clients' well-being isn't just up to me. It's community service, not me service. Case managers do important work, but so do families who make donations and people who open their homes and communities, and congregations who support refugees and other organizations. My experience made me change the way I think about service, and that change has resulted in gratitude for congregations like yours, making a difference, advocating, and contributing for equity, fairness, in employment practices and in the treatment of refugees. And learning that humility has changed me for the better. When I change, the world changes.
Hello again. The big line is back, and we have a new prompt to answer this time, and that is, what is something that you plan to change in your own life or in the world? And again, we're going to start with our friends online.
I plan on getting into a better routine of exercise to continue to take care of my physical and mental health, to continue to cope with generalized anxiety disorder. I plan also to continue to bring positive energy into the world, but be a better ally and activist to marginalized groups.
I plan to help work towards making the world more collective, collaborative, and community-based through policy and through teachings and learning. I think that's what's just essential to work towards the causes that I believe in, like fighting the climate crisis and ending hunger and poverty within our lifetimes, which is totally possible.
I want to be someone who can communicate heart to heart and kindness with anyone and have as positive an impact on the world as I can.
I want to know that I'm spending my days and my time in ways that directly help other people in any way at all.
I will be anti-racist and live in the 8th principle.
Personally, I'd like to be more disciplined to put my time towards things that I truly, truly care about. And I also plan to bring people joy through my music.
I will also continue to discipline myself and be better at planning and pursuing the things I want to pursue. And I plan to use my degree and my education to shine a light on all of the problems in our world.
In the future, I want to be able to stay motivated and productive with my work and what I love to study. Although it's not like I can turn off the internet.
I plan on continuing to make more sustainable changes, and I also want to get more involved directly in environmental activism.
Thank you, everyone.
Please join me in our extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again.
We will now sing hymn 311 in your hymnal, Let It Be a Dance.
Let it be
Go forth with the wisdom that the things you take for granted will change. Go forth with the courage to adapt to new situations that don't feel normal to you yet. And go forth with the knowledge that however the world may change, it always starts with one voice. Now, all the young adults will come up and we will sing The Times They Are Changing together. Oops. Yeah, let's get it on the mic.
For those of you, we just want to let you know that it's absolutely clear that it's the service name, The Chimes Are Changing, is a pun on The Times They Are Changing. We just wanted to make that.
Come gather round, people, wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown, and accept your answer, you'll be drenched to the bone. The time you is worth saving, then you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone, for the times they are a-changing. Come writers and critics who prophesize your pen, and keep your eyes wide, the chance won't come again. And don't speak too soon, for the wheel's still in sin. And there's no telling who that it's naming, for the loser now will be later to win, for the times they are a-changing. Come senators, congressmen, please heed the call. Don't stand in the doorway, don't block up the hall, for he that gets hurt will be he who has stalled. Then the outside raging will soon shake your windows and crack your walls. The times they are a-changing. Fathers and fathers the land. And don't criticize what you can't understand. Your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. Your own world rapidly aging. Please get out of the new one if you can't lend your hand. For the times they are a-changing. The line is drawn, the curse is cast. The slow one now will later be past, as the present now will later be past. The order is rapidly fading, and the first one now will later be last. For the times they are a-changing.
Yeah, John Carlo.
This concludes our service this morning. We invite those of you online to stick around. Don't go yet, because you're going to see a prompt there on your screen for you to become part of one of the breakout groups where you can discuss this idea of change being presented to us. And I really think more than change, it was about vulnerability. I am so blown away by the vulnerability that you were so willing and courageous to express to us today. So hopefully you'll speak about that in your breakout group, or just get to know each other a little bit better. And after about 15 minutes, the breakout groups will end, and that will end your time with UUCD today. Here today, I invite you to stay for a while. We have coffee this morning, thanks to Annie and Suzanne. So thanks to the two of them for providing that for us this morning. Stay and talk. Make sure you thank the young adults for being here today. And we'll look forward to seeing you next week on Easter Sunday. Go in peace.